serve the Lord wholeheartedly without worldly attachments. They were married in 1830. Together, George and Mary Muller would begin a journey that would test their faith, stretch their trust, and lead to miracles that would echo across continents. But they didn't know any of that yet. They only knew one thing: God had called them to live by faith, and they had said yes. The cobbled streets of Tegmouth were quiet the morning George Muller and his new bride, Mary, arrived in the coastal town in southern England. The year was 1830, and George had just taken up a modest pastoral position at a small chapel. The salary was low, the congregation simple, but that suited George just fine. He wasn't looking for prestige, he was looking for obedience. Yet even in that humble place, George faced a challenge that would shape the rest of his life: money. In the churches of that time, it was common for pews to be rented. Wealthier families paid more for the best seats, while the poor were left with the back rows or none at all. George was deeply troubled. How could he preach the gospel freely when the very seating arrangement created division among believers? He made a radical decision. He announced to the congregation that he would no longer accept a fixed salary, nor would he collect rent for pews. Instead, a simple wooden box would be placed at the entrance of the chapel. Anyone who felt led by God could give, and if nothing was given, then he and Mary would go without. People were stunned. Some thought he was foolish, others admired his boldness. But George wasn't doing this to impress anyone. He had been reading the scriptures and had become convinced that a servant of God should never look to man for provision, but to God alone. He would not beg, he would not scheme, he would pray, and that's what he did. Each morning, George rose early to seek God in prayer. He brought every need before him: food, rent, clothing, and even the smallest concerns. Often money would run out. There were days when their cupboards were nearly bare, yet without fail, at just the right moment, an envelope would arrive, a visitor would knock, a coin would appear in the box. Time and again, God provided. This rhythm of faith became the foundation of George and Mary's life together. Soon they moved to Bristol, where George was invited to co-pastor the Gideon Chapel. There, the same principles continued: no salary, no pew rents, no appeals for money, just quiet, confident dependence on God through prayer. It was in Bristol that George's eyes were opened to a new and growing need, one that would soon consume his heart entirely: children. At the time, England was in the grip of poverty. The Industrial Revolution had changed everything. Families flooded